to people that are in other markets, because those kinds of things usually happen there first. The tactics and the tricks happen somewhere else, and then we adopt or adapt some of them. So I don't see that is, that the hard earnest money release is something that's used a lot because it's a risk. However,
that's hard for people to swallow here, because
yeah,
in Nebraska, you pretty much have to kill someone to not get your earnest deposit back.
Exactly.
And even if you kill them on the property, you're probably going to get it back.
Right.
I mean,
but to a seller, that may look like something that says, hey, what do I have to lose, 3 days from now? So who knows? But anyway, do we have everybody that, let's see, Trace?
I'm here.
Yeah. Emily Swinford. Yep. Jerry Alvers, Serena, Kristen Lale. I think I saw your little cute face.
Hi.
Darla.
Yep, we're together.
We're together.
Right. Okay. Terry and Terry Pruitt. Yeah. Okay. All right. So today we're going to talk about something that I think is a really, really important subject that we don't talk about very much. And we have so many people who have been so involved and so enmeshed and done some amazing work, and they get their own accolades from these groups. And we're not always seeing all this great work that's going on the perimeter. And I want you guys to talk about it, because I think there's a lot of benefit to it. It's not just something that takes time, but not only benefit to you yourself in this involvement, but to helping build your business, to build your reputation, to get to know other agents, which I would say one of the number one assets that you can have in an offer right now is being an agent that other agents respect. Number one. And I just actually said that to a whole group of brokers in lots of different companies. Having if you got a loan, a lender that's highly respected in the community and involved in the community, those are really super, super important things. And having a team of people that you work together with, who all are cheering and working towards success in writing offers and getting what your clients are looking for. So I want you guys to talk about that. And I don't care how or what you talk about. I just want you to talk about your involvement, how you feel like it benefits you, how you feel like you as a member of the community should be involved, and the things that are important to you. So who would like to start us off in this, of all you guys?
I'll start.
Okay, Jerry.
Just to throw out some ideas. I mean, there's a lot of people on this panel who've had a lot of experience, and I'm sure have some good ideas to share on their involvement. But I think I've been involved in, from the standpoint of community as well as industry. And I think industry is something that a lot of people don't give back to as much as they probably should. Industry is what supports us, and that's what governs what we do. But I think by being involved with your state, local, national associations, it gives you an idea of what's going on in our industry. It also gives you a voice in what's going to happen or what's not going to happen. And maybe we'll talk about RPAC a little bit during this meeting. That would be great. A lot of people say, I don't want to be politically involved. I'm not a politician. The sad part is politics controls your life. It controls what you do in business and how you do business. And so it's good to be on the inside to have an idea of what's coming up. If you look at what's happening in our legislature right now, there's tons of, especially for rentals this year, of bills that are up that can affect how you do your rental business. But I think being in the state, you meet other people. And I think what you said, Carol, is very important. If other people see you as a good agent, it's easier to do a transaction. If you're in just local meetings, you meet people in committees, things of that type. So when you talk to them on the phone or they call you, you have an idea, you can put a face to it, you know who they are. And maybe you know maybe I got to be careful how I deal with them, or they're good agents and you go under there. I've been involved for many, many years. Just as a very brief background, I was the president of the local, state associations from time to time, and also I was an RVP for the National Association for the Midwest region. But what do you get out of that? I think what you get out of that is not that you're going to get an immediate return dollar-wise, but I'll guarantee I have received referrals from agents from outstate Nebraska over the years. And there's a lot more people moving to Omaha than going from Omaha to outstate. Believe it or not, I've even referred and received referrals from agents I met at national conventions. So, I mean, it's a people business. You know, we are in a people business, and I've always felt the more people you know, the more people you're involved with, the better off it is. But I think a key thing to any involvement is don't join an organization or a group or a community situation just because I'm going to get leads. You will not. You have to join an organization or a group or something you're involved in that you like, you enjoy, and you put forth the effort. Because if you do that, then it will pay you back. And that's when the other people see that you are involved and you like what you're doing. I mean, I could list numerous committees that are on the local and state. You can get those off the internet. And somebody says, well, what's out there from the community? Stop and think about it. There's many, many groups out there. They're in your church, schools. Volunteers are needed for all kinds of organizations. You know, the zoo, the Durham, the Joslin, all these things. So there's a lot of things you can get involved with. And with that, I'll shut up and let other people talk about their involvement.
I'll go. So I am involved in RPAC. I'm the co-chair this year. And, but I'll talk a little bit about Women's Council of Realtors. I've been involved in that for many years. I was the 2017 president of our local Women's Council. I've been the regional representative for Women's Council. And I wholeheartedly believe everything that Jerry just said. It's about knowing the other agents, knowing our affiliates, because those people I see every month and I get to trust them, I get to talk with them. And those are the people that I refer my clients to. They put in extra time and effort into our business, like through Women's Council. And so I believe in giving that back. 2017 was a huge year for me business-wise, and I didn't go into that being a president that year thinking that, because it was just extra work then being a president at that time. But I will say that I received a couple of referrals from other Women's Council agents over the United States. And, you know, that's great, but we get to meet a lot of people that you are able to talk to and grow yourself just off of what they're saying. Again, co-chair for RPAC. We just got done at the Women's Council meeting and we raised $27,400 today. So, which is crazy. So we have a big support, and it's always our big event leading off for the year. I'm also a director on the Omaha Area Board of Realtors. And I think that for me, I just like being involved because knowing more about our industry helps me. And I feel like I can pass along that education that I get from that to my clients. So that's why.
Darla, let me ask you a question. You just said you just raised $27,400.
Yep.
People have to be lit up about something in order to give to it. Why? Why was it? Why do you think that that was an incredible amount of money to just come up with? What are people fired up about?
So I told them, like, I do not like politics at all. And
Nobody
so,
likes politics. It's a fact of life.
I
no,
do.
no, there are people, and thank God for them. But that's why I invest in RPAC. And I honestly started investing in RPAC when I was an affiliate, when I was a mortgage lender,
Okay.
because I felt that they were protecting not only my industry, but home ownership. And so the big fire up is that they are trying to pass having services taxed. And whether or not the first year it gets passed, real estate agents are in that. At one time, if it does get passed, we can be included in that. So for instance, the seller would have to pay the state 5%. And then of course, there's going to be, the local people wanting tax too. They're going to have to pay at least a 5%, 5.5% tax rate on our services. So what does that mean? Well, now they're going to want to negotiate our commission down even further, because now they have to pay taxes on it. And then if you think about that for every single one, and you're going to have to fight for it more, or you're going to have to bump down, a percent on your commission, how much money is that going to end up costing your business in the long run in just a year?
So if a seller pays $10,000, I'm just gonna use a round number, for you listing their house, and then
Mhm.
that $10,000 gets divided between the buyer's agent and the seller's agents, brokerages.
Then on top, they
Okay.
have to pay the tax.
So then the seller has to pay $10,000 because they spent that money?
Be- So they would pay like 5.5% sales tax, basically service tax
Okay,
on what
okay.
they paid us.
okay.
Because we sold our service.
Yeah,
to them.
because they purchased a service.
You guys all get that? I'm asking a group kind
Yeah.
of question. Yeah.
And
Okay.
that will also, that's going to trickle down eventually
Yeah.
to home inspectors. So they're going to
All
pay a sales
services.
tax on us. They're going to pay a sales tax on their home inspection. They're going to pay a sales tax on any of the other
Any
independent
services,
broker
Appraise
services
or
that come into
whatever.
play
Yeah.
in that transaction. So that's
aside from the person who received that money paying
Correct.
taxes on it.
Right.
At
It's
the,
a-
yes, tax level.
It's a
Okay.
double tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, that's my point. My point is you raised money, you helped to raise money on something that people are fired up about.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think as agents, we don't always, and I'm saying we as a general term, we don't always have that same level of being fired up. Somebody's got two computers, two things going on that's getting feedback. We don't always have that level of information to get so fired up. So that's why I think this is an important conversation for us to have, in that we probably have to have more internal circle of information on just these kinds of issues. So.
And I
think
talked
great.
to Tom about our PAC and talking to Better Homes agents. And he suggested a cocktail hour because, agents like cocktail hours. So we will probably do that for education. And I know Jerry has been involved and contributed to RPAC forever, right, Jerry?
About that.
Ever.
Darla, if I may just make a comment, so many times people get hung up on, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm an independent, whatever it is. The thing that we have with realtors, when we donate to the realtor party. We don't call it one side or the other. We're looking at issues that affect our industry, and whether you like it or not, the way the game is played is money does make a difference. And what it is there's, I think in the state of Nebraska, you could quote me on that, it's like, I think we raised like $160,000 last year.
Yes.
If we meet our goal, we get about 70% of that back to use for our candidates and that type of thing. And it does make a difference. Just because you donate to a candidate doesn't mean they're going to do everything you want to do. But at least if you have donated, they will at least take your call or listen to you or give you the opportunity to sit down and visit about
Yep.
your position. So it is important.
We get a seat at the table. And I
Right.
believe that we're at 85% stays in the state of that money, which is awesome. And then I lost it, which is not surprising. But it's something that you had mentioned, Jerry, as well in the beginning of it this time. Oh, so it's Realtor Political Action Committee. But instead of political, I prefer saying Protection Committee because that's what I feel that they do.
Yeah.
They protect us, our industry, they protect home ownership, just like the cost of buying and selling a home will now go up if we're taxed on services again. So it's just another increase. And they keep talking about affordable housing. Well, that's not working toward that at all.
Correct. Okay, cool. Thank you. You guys can interact however you want to in further conversations here, but Serena, you want to talk about your involvement and what you've been doing and
Sure.
what you get from it?
Yeah, you bet. I will. I'll lead a little bit with RPAC myself. I'm a major investor with RPAC as well. I am a little bit of a political junkie, but the reason that a big political junkie. But the reason that I got started, actually, Laura Osborne, Darla, were big instigators in getting me involved in that. And I learned primarily about RPAC through Women's Council. My first RPAC introduction on a bigger scale was at the Women's Council event that they host every February, which we just had today, where we raised the $27,000 so far towards the RPAC goal for the year. So I think there's a whole lot of layers in the involvement that within the industry that play on each other and support each other and help all of us grow in many different aspects of our business. So I think it's a huge factor because it really does put your money towards representation on all of the things that affect our business so that you don't have to. So the people who don't want to be involved, that's all we need from them, and they get a voice at the table as well. Women's Council has done huge things for my business. Most recently, the reason that I have a transaction going with another Women's Council member is because of our relationship. Her buyers were lucky enough to get their offer accepted, and that had a huge factor in the decision on how my sellers wanted the transaction to go. And the fact that they knew that I had worked in multiple realms with this other agent through Women's Council and RPAC and a couple other things. So Women's Council I got involved with. I got my license in 2018 in January, and I joined Women's Council in, I think it was September of that year. And quite honestly, I'm not a rah-rah cheerleader kind of person, not all like women's rights kind of thing. And I felt like my impression of Women's Council at the time was more like a sorority, and I wasn't interested. But I got taken to a lunch as a guest and realized that Women's Council is very all-inclusive, very supportive, and focused on leadership development and relationships, and not just women's rights. So that was my first impression with it. And since then, what?
Well, and you don't have to be a woman to be a member. In fact, nationally, there are several men that are their state or their local president.
Yep.
It's just supporting women in the
Yeah.
business that we do.
So in Women's Council, I've spent 2 years as 1 year as chair for the golf committee, 1 year as co-chair, 1 year just helping. Last year I was secretary for the Women's Council board, and this year I'm events director. And through the course of being involved in Women's Council as a new agent, one of the best things that happened to me when I started showing up at OABR office to pick up stuff or whatever, everybody recognized me. And over the last couple of years with all the isolation in our business, the fact that you have relationships within the industry locally and that you don't feel like you're just out there on your island struggling to put a sign in someone's yard is huge. It's super
Mhm.
supportive. It keeps you engaged and it keeps you focused on your business. And the business relationships I've developed between the affiliates have immensely helped my business. Like, these are people I trust to support my clients. And they're going to see me every month. So there's a level of accountability involved in all of these organizations that you can be involved with, that you're going to see these people. So you want to be professional and provide excellent service and develop really positive, longstanding relationships with them. And it just makes your business run smoother.
I think also you what you're alluding to is, which is the same thing just about everybody is saying, is, we focus on relationships in doing our business. But the one thing I think is a divider in whether you're going to be wholly organically successful or not is whether you have those relationships with other agents. And like it or not, there are companies that compete against each other even within the companies. And I think that's one of the things about, and this is not a advertisement for Better Homes and Gardens, you're already here, I'm not trying to convince you, is one of the reasons why we are so successful and have done so well so quickly is because we are a collaborative brokerage that encourages us to have relationships with other people, even if they work for another company. We have to have each other to do this business.
Yeah.
And I really love hearing what you're saying, because it is a super important piece. Aside from, there's great parties and cocktail hours and lunches and things that break up the rest of this crap that we have to do sometimes. And I think a perfect example is the strength and the power of the organization that I'm going to have next to Emily Swinford talk about, is Swire and the agents in Iowa and what they do and how they do it. Somebody's giving some feedback here, so if everybody that's not talking will mute yourself and then unmute when you're going to talk, that'd probably be helpful. So Emily, I'd like you to talk about, I know you came from, Emily was our first tree we planted in the Iowa area, and started our brokerage over there. And as all guys know, Tim is the broker over there right now, and temporarily the broker here. He's the everybody. And thank you, Tim, for being on the call, because I know you're busy, and we're all thinking about and praying for Tom. So Emily, would you chat with us about what you guys do and how you do it? And you have so many people that come to your Swire meetings. It's amazing. So yeah, give us your stuff.
Yeah, so Carol, Swire is Southwest Iowa Association of Realtors, and we're a much smaller organization over in Southwest Iowa than OABR, obviously. So I think, and if Lindsay were here, she could tell you, Lindsay Shaben, who works with me, if she was here, she could tell you how many members we have, but I think we're right around 200 is all. So obviously a little bit smaller. And so our need for participation is huge because, as you all know, it's hard to get people to participate. So I just started getting my feet wet really when I came to Better Homes and Gardens, with just kind of going to some of the events. And I am not a public speaker. And I mean, I had social anxiety coming to Better Homes and Gardens, agents feeding agents the first year. So I think the biggest thing, and I'll talk a little bit more about the committees with Swire, but I think the biggest thing that I wish I could go back and do is just start going to things. I think it can be really intimidating when you think you kind of have to work your way up the ranks, or when there's so many things that you're already doing that are spreading yourself thin and you don't have time to do it. But if you can find one thing you're passionate about, and for me, that was the golf committee, and we raise a lot of money, but it's fun, and I love to golf. So that's kind of where I started. But if you can find one thing that you like, and just kind of volunteer. And the other thing I actually wrote this down because I wanted to say this. I am coined for this phrase. I do not have time to plan the event, but you can call me any day and I will show up and I will be there and I will do whatever you tell me to do. And there is a huge, I think so many people think that they have to be the committee chair or be over involved in some way, and that's not true. A lot of times the committees just need feet on the ground, and when you start to show up, you start to meet people and you start to naturally develop the relationships, and then everything comes a lot easier. And I think that's with any sort of realtor association or any sort of organization you're thinking of being a part of. I'm not a member of WCR, and I don't think we have gotten an Iowa chapter up and running, although I know there's been talks of it, but I come to a lot of the Omaha events thanks to meeting Darla just by going to one. And now I know Serena as a result and a lot of other people. So that's kind of my biggest thing that I wanted to talk about today was just find one thing and go, or just always be the person that raises your hand to volunteer. You don't have to run the show. Excuse me. You don't have to run the show. You can just get involved. And I don't do as much as I probably should, but I do as much as I can. And I think in time when kids are older and things start to slow down a bit, I will do a lot more and will want to do a lot more. But with Swire, I did join several committees and I did chair the golf bash last year. And then I do work on the education committee. And one thing we're really focusing on is collaboration among brokerages, just because we don't have as many organizations on the Iowa side. There's just not as much collaboration, so we're really focusing on that. So we tried to start, or we're trying to start a quarterly panel that's just basically kind of an ATA for Swire. And so that's the education committee. And then I joined finance committee, and I'll tell you what, I had no idea what I was doing last year. And after staring at the spreadsheets every single month for a year, this year it's a lot easier. And plus I know a lot more people, so I can ask a lot more questions. So it's kind of one of those things that once you start, you'll become more passionate about it, and you don't have to start out balls to the wall. You can start small.
So you have 200 people involved in Swire. How many agents in your area, in your marketplace there?
I don't know, Carol. I'm not I'm not good with those numbers. I wish
it's okay. I just am wondering, like, what do you do to promote increasing the amount of involvement that you have in Swire? Because I think you guys have an incredible amount of involvement, and I've been to your monthly meetings, and I mean, people get there early to get tables, to make sure their breakfasts, and maybe that's something that that really appeals to the people in your area, maybe starting their day that way. But you have great speakers, and I just wonder what it is do people have FOMO if they don't go? Like, I would think so, because you have so many different topics and speakers that you've developed that kind of consciousness about your organization. So
yeah, I think we're spread a little bit more thin in Southwest Iowa in terms of demographics. So we go from Woodbine and even further north down to Hamburg, Iowa, right on the Missouri border. And so I think we do have really good participation with our in-person events, just because that's sometimes the only time we get to see each other. And it's always great.
Okay.
You might work with an agent 3 times before you ever meet them in person. So I think just geographically, it's more of a kind of a fun event for people to come together in that way.
That's great. That's great.
Daryl, if I could make a point, I think
Please.
Emily made a very good point on whenever you ask somebody to do something, a lot of times it's, I don't have time. I just don't have, I'm just too busy. But one thing I found over the years, if you want something done, ask somebody to commit that doesn't have time to do it, because they will get it done.
Ask a busy person. Yeah.
The busier you are, the more organized you become. It's kind of like, if you give, you'll receive. So that's important, I think.
Yeah, it's not an all or nothing. I think it's a good point that you're making, Emily, is have your boundaries and know what you're passionate about, and be able to say no. be able to say no, but I can do this. So I think that's great. Good point.
I'd love to pop in there too, if I
Please
could.
do it, Bridget. Anybody that wants to pop in, that's what this is about. This is a conversation.
Well, this year I'm actually the vice chair of the Young Professionals Committee of the
Mhm.
OABR. So I've been involved with that actually for quite a while through the home standards side. And then I got my license. So now I'm able to be a chair, which is great. And we meet on every second Thursday, kind of right after this, actually. We meet at 1:30. And it's much like the WCR. You know how you don't have to be a woman to be in the WCR. You don't have to be a certain age to be in Young Professionals either. We say, we're for the young at heart, or for anyone really that's new to the industry too. It's just about supporting each other and networking. We have a lot of great speakers as well that come and talk to us about organizing your business, taxes, all sorts of stuff. And I'd love to talk to anybody about that who might be interested. And just like Emily was saying, also, it's set up so you don't have to, walk in and plan on being a chair in 2 years. You can come at any time. You can pop in and out of the meeting. You don't even necessarily have to stay for the whole meeting. And it's set up so you can be in different levels of involvement. If you just want to help out with one particular event, you can do that. But if you really get into it and you love it, then you can get as involved as you'd like to be.
So do all of you or any of you ever use our Facebook page to let people know when their meetings are coming up, or to invite people? Or is that something that would be helpful for us to know more information? I mean, that's what our Facebook page is for, is to share information, but I don't feel like I see a lot there, and maybe that's me, but
We were
So,
just discussing
We
that.
just had that conversation. That
Did
we
you?
need to start posting
I must have read your mind.
And if it's fine to use the agents at Better Omaha and send out invites and updates on our monthly events for Women's Council, because we do have a lot of national speakers coming as well. And we have a CAT event actually in April that anybody can register for and get 3 hours of CAT this year as well.
Yeah, I think we need to know that. Tim, will you pipe in here? What's your thinking on, we don't want to ever overwhelm our agent email or our Facebook page, but I think our Facebook page is an appropriate place for having this information, and you probably have graphics and things too. But Tim,
I totally agree. I think that the Facebook page is ideal for that kind of thing. And if it's something ongoing, something like on make room on our intranet site, if you want it to be a page devoted to some of these services,
or onto our calendars.
Onto our calendars is what I really meant to say.
Is that appropriate, Tim?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there's a problem with that. I think I'll look into it. But at the same time, I see a problem with sending emails throughout the whole company. Obviously just gets frustrating because then people just delete them. But our Facebook page, that's exactly what this is for.
Yeah, I would think so. And I personally would love to see that. Hannah Morrison said I would love to see upcoming meeting information on the Facebook page. It makes it less intimidating to have a buddy from our brokerage to connect with and go with. And that is absolutely true. Totally, absolutely true. So Tim, if you'll look into that, you guys keep that in mind. Worst thing that you can do is post some, too much stuff, and somebody says post less. So, ask for forgiveness later. This is recording, huh? Okay.
Can I chime in about another committee?
Yeah.
Oh,
please, Angie. Hi.
I think Jerry Alvarez can speak to this probably better than I can, but governmental affairs throughout the board of realtors in Omaha is, boy, if you want your ear to the street on what's going on in Omaha, I think it's a really advantageous group. And it really ties in with the RPAC part of it. Again, it's not delegated by parties. It's but the great thing is there's money that we allocate towards the candidates that are running for like your local city council, for a state senator seat, and being a part of giving funds to that committee and those candidates. We actually get to interview those candidates. You know, they always say, if you want something done, don't bitch about it, go vote about it. And it's nice to see it's kind of a grassroots approach to being able to be a part of our community. We have representatives from the municipal land bank, so we get to see that side as well, of lots being developed that are in probably undesirable areas, but they're trying to accommodate and make more promise for development. And Jerry, you can tune in too. We actually have a meeting in 20 minutes, but it's a great committee to be on as well.
Cool. That's what we're looking for, is like what things are happening that any one of us would want to have some involvement in and win. So I think.
So, yeah, just wanted to mention, everybody gets the review. So in this edition of the review, in the middle, there are all of, it says, get involved with your association. And it's got a brief description about it's got a brief description about any of the, you can do social events, there's RPAC, whatever you want. It's got meeting times in there when they meet for their next meetings. Pop in. I mean, you might be more of a social buddy. Maybe you want to help with the chili cook-off type of thing and have those type of funds. And that's great for, you know, this organization. Even if maybe you feel like some of these items are a little bit more political, there's a huge opportunity in our community for outreach outside of real estate. And I think those are things that you can help out too. I mean, even through Women's Council last year, I was the event director and tried to bring in, you know, really meaningful content that would help inform and engage and make you more, you know, experienced out there talking about different things, whether it was TIF or we had a broker panel out there. We dug into realtor safety. A lot of different things I think were, you know, very, very positive. Also, you know, there are things like, I think one thing that stands out is Tom Osborne's teammates program. You know, that mentorship, what does it mean? Take a, you know, half an hour out to even go spend time with somebody that's less fortunate and needs somebody to mentor with in a school environment. I think that even the Humane Society is a great organization. It's all about networking and really kind of getting involved in the community. Habitat for Humanity, you know, I've done some work with them, participated on some builds. Donate some time to the local food bank. You know, Serena and I did that. We beefed up our muscles. And it was crazy because they gave us a little volunteer type of sticker with their name, and I'd forgotten to take it off, and I had to run somebody somewhere for another appointment. And as we were talking, they said, "Thank you for donating your time today." And I was like, okay, what did you mean? They said, "You went to the food bank. Thank you for doing that." And so just that back and forth. And there's a lot of different things, like I said, within the community. Doesn't have to be real estate, you know, generated. I've had conversations with Tom on how maybe we can partner on some different opportunities on, you know, just a realm. And he's very open, very, very open on, you know, what can we do? Can we, you know, work with this organization on maybe helping developing some content for continuing education? And that's something personally I'm working on, you know, with another person that I've met through Women's Council. And Tom would like to do that. We can open that up then to other brokers throughout Omaha and really do something from a better home standpoint. So I just think there's a huge opportunity to keep your minds open. Something you like to do, like everybody said, doesn't have to be real estate, you know, generated, but I think you can find a link and correlation and some personal satisfaction.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Trace makes a good point. You know, a lot of times people say, well, I don't know anybody in that organization. I don't know anything there and that kind of thing. I'll guarantee you, if you go to some place that's a new organization, wherever you're at, food bank, whatever it might be, they know that you're a realtor, especially today. I'll guarantee you somebody's going to talk to you. You know, it's just the way it is. Real estate affects everybody. So that's a good end. You'll meet people. Good point, Trace.
Can I jump in? Oh.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to make sure that we give some mention to the HBAF Foundation, the Home Buyer Assistance Foundation, that I don't know if a lot of agents even are familiar with, but that is designed to give grants back to first-time home buyers. It's currently a $250 grant that your home buyer that purchases under $220,000 can receive just by filling out a one-page application. And I just presented my first check last week, actually, to a buyer, and it took her 5 minutes online to submit it. She got an approval, and a week later, she had $250 to spend on some repairs on her new house. So that is funded by donations from our community and from our realtor community as well, but the general public. So something to check into for your buyers if you have that price range.
And speaking of HBAF, I'm on the convention committee for the Nebraska Real Estate Association. And we plan the convention, we come up with the themes and put forth, we always have that, and we haven't had this in 2 years now. So this year it's going to be really cool. We're doing dueling pianos, but it's where I think it's on Tuesday night. And remind me again, it's been a couple of years and I've only been on the committee for about 1.5 years. But our biggest fundraiser goes to HBAF. We celebrate, we bring in money and we give it over on top of proctoring at the different classes. You get your CEs for free if you're proctoring. You come up with fun ideas and you get to meet people from all over the country, all over the state, not just here in Omaha. So if you by chance work with any of the Lincoln agents, or if you do anything in Lincoln, you'll get to meet some of the Lincoln agents, and then you have that rapport and you can call somebody, hey, or like others were saying, you can call anybody on your committee and say, I've got a client who's moving out in your area. Can you help them? You're making contacts throughout the state, which is really awesome. And you're learning more about how other organizations, other boards are handling COVID, how they're handling their market, what their markets are like. And it's not just so centrally focused on Omaha, which I live in and I support and I want to know as well, but it's good to see how the rest of the state is being affected by things. But we have a lot of fun. And there's a couple of other committees that I plan on attending this year and becoming a member of. But if anyone's interested and want to get your foot in the door, just start meeting people, it's really easy to participate. There's not a lot of work that goes into it. It's once a month meetings. You can even Zoom the meetings. There's only twice a year where you have to physically be in person down in Lincoln. So actually once in Lincoln and once in La Vista during convention. But the convention committee is awesome. It's a lot of fun. And it is kind of a gateway to getting into some of the other committees at the state level as well.
And I'll just jump in there real quick.
All right, Terry, it's your turn. I'm just gonna call on you.
Just following up, everybody's pretty much covered everything. I'm on the government affair. I've been on it for over 10 years. So, there's more to our industry than just buying and selling homes. And like everybody else was bringing out, that there's so much involved in Omaha that's going on with landlord tenants and like they brought out again about the commission being taxed from sellers, so if we think about that, and we're not there to help fight this, if they're being taxed on that, what's that going to do for us as realtors? We're going to have more for sale by owners. We're going to lose more business that way. And so it's really important to be involved. I've had people ask me before how much money you have to pay to be involved. You really don't, but I mean, when we pay our dues, that little $50 that we pay helps out tremendously more than people realize. But there's just a lot to what everybody has brought out for these involvements and all these groups that I really highly recommend. At least come to some of the meetings and just see what they're about. Because I'm not a politician person whatsoever. When I got involved, that was the first thing I asked. I'm like, I don't want to do this politic thing. And they said, no, it's all about the realtor party. And that's what I've learned it's all about. It affects all of us.
Any of you involved at the national level or at the state level, or have been involved in either one of those?
I'll quickly chime in really quick. If I have bad reception here, so if it cuts out, just let me know. I don't know what the deal is lately. So years ago, many years ago, I was on the Grievance Committee for the Nebraska Real Estate Commission, and I loved that. That was really, really great because I learned so much about my industry. You know, they would bring us together. I would say about once a month, we'd have to have a group call. We would basically talk about a problem. What it was when somebody turned an agent into the Nebraska Real Estate Commission, we, the Grievance Committee, which was a group of volunteers across the entire state, would read the complaint and decide whether or not it warranted going to the next level. And we did it a lot throughout that process. And you know, we're never fighting over commissions because the real estate commission doesn't want to know about your commission. They just want to know whether or not you've done something unethical. It was interesting because I saw the things that people were getting turned in for. I saw the things that they got really in trouble for. And I saw the number of complaints that were, I wouldn't necessarily say frivolous, but just grumpy people that just couldn't let it go. Like they just don't get a house and they just can't let it go. But the Grievance Committee, I think I was on there for 4 years. It was honestly some of the best education I ever got. So that's all.
I was on the diversity committee for several years with OABR, where there were scholarships that were given out, and people applied for the scholarships or put other people's names. And it was a very interesting committee. Beyond being on the committee and the work that we were doing, which was a really some good work. What I enjoyed was what somebody said about, you know, walking into OABR and being recognized, not actually being like one of those, how can I help you kind of be, you know, like feeling alone. And also becoming like more accustomed to the processes and how things are done versus kind of operating in the dark. And seeing the actual professionalism that was actually going on behind the scenes in our organization that represents us, and making some great relationships was probably, you know, one of the biggest parts of it. There's so much more to what we do than just this very blinders on. It's me and you, the clients, and then me and you, the agents, and this, you know, smaller world that we're in. I think no matter what you can do to make your world bigger, you're going to make your value be so much better and so much higher to your clients through all of these relationships that you build doing it. I'm amazed at how involved you guys all are. I'm thrilled that we have had all of you on this call and show up for the call, volunteer for your time, and to share this information with us. But how do we? I want some suggestions from you all on how do we do better as a brokerage to be more involved and or to support the involvement that you all have and are giving right now. So that's my question to you guys that have been already.
I'll jump in real quick.
Go ahead,
So
Sarah.
there's about 5 of us that have a meeting actually with Leslie on Monday to discuss how to get more agents and more of the brokerage involved in Women's Council. They are currently a double diamond sponsor this year. So that means that they get 4 seats at the table at every regular meeting on our monthly meeting. So inviting some of our agents and making sure that they have a presence there to get at least their feet wet, see what it's about, and see if it's something they want to be involved in on higher level.
Okay.
But I mean, all of the board meetings, all of them, governmental affairs, the OABR board, the HBAF, the young professionals, those are open meetings. If you're a member of the community, you can show up and sit in at any time. So everybody's an open book and everybody's welcome at the table, and get involved and pay attention, because honestly, one of the best things that the involvement has done for my business is given me a lot of confidence and value that I provide to my clients. And they know that I'm not just selling houses. I'm out working for them and for their rights, and I pay attention. And I feel like that just in itself gives me the ability to, you know, present myself in a professional manner and maybe step up my game with them.
I think whoever said something about me being so much more comfortable when you walk in with a buddy had a lot, that was a really important thing to say, because as much as you can show us in, you know, in the little magazine, you know, here's where all this information is. And as many, you know, as much as we hear about it out there, if somebody says to each one of you, or to me, somebody says, hey, do you want to go with me? Or maybe somebody that we're interested in and we want to support from our brokerage is going to be the speaker. You know, there's usually got to be a reason. So so I think when you guys have your conversation with Leslie, that would be an important, you know, an important thing to have that synergy between people, asking other people to go, inviting them to go.
Well, and I think, you know, putting that stuff out on our, you know, Facebook page, you know, kind of welcomes that, puts that opportunity out there. You can, you know, message that person to say, hey, kind of like to go with, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
So,
right. People, I think they're more willing to go if you got somebody's hand to hold, or somebody's going to meet you there. You're going to see familiar face and not feel like you're walking around bouncing against walls. And sometimes in organizations like that, because I've been involved in many of them, you know, you walk in a room and everybody's kind of paired off into their friends. They're seeing their friends, and it's not always so comfortable to just walk in blindly. So I think we could do this better together.
One thing we could do, I was gonna say, one thing we can do if we're gonna put up our information on the intranet is maybe put some contacts within the brokerage of who is a member of those committees so they can reach out. Possibly if we know a big event is coming up, can we put it in the brokerage news? I know it's not brokerage news, but it is brokerage news. It's part of being a member of this real estate profession. So yeah, if we could do that and work with Justine to get that out, I think that would be very helpful as well. Because the more that we're in the know, one thing at a previous brokerage I was at, we at our weekly meetings, we talked about what's happening within the state with the different committees. So maybe touting those in the brokerage news would help as well. So people are aware.
Yeah. Tim and I will bring this up at the next core meeting that we have, or Tim, your meeting. Actually, at the core meeting, I think it'd be a good thing for us to discuss because Justine's there too. So, yeah.
And can I do a quick plug for the, it is
ahead.
community involvement. We still have a few tickets and volunteer spots for the Jays game on this Monday. So I know it's Valentine's Day, but your Valentine can have a ticket too. So you would just come at 6. And I mean, it's great exposure to get in front of a lot of people, and it'll be fun. So if anyone is still interested, just email me and let me know how many tickets you need.
For many people, a ticket to a Jays game would be a great Valentine's present, Audra. So be like,
yeah, they just have to go for 2 hours before and hand out t-shirts, but you can hand out t-shirts together.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else have anything to add here or comments? You guys did a great job. Thank you so much. It was wonderful information. I think we just heightened some awareness, huge amount. And I can't wait to hear how that meeting goes next week. Those gals had to jump off for another meeting. Everybody who contributed here from Nebraska and Iowa, both, all of you, thank you so much. This was great information. And I think I think very well received. We had 38 people on this call, and Tom wasn't even on it, so, or Leslie.
That was
So
pretty good.
you guys did it. Tim, you done?
Thank you. Yep, I think we're done. That was
We're
great.
done.
Thank you.
Have a
We'll talk
great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.